Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at. Ryan Ripley and Todd Miller, professional Scrum trainers with Scrum.org and lead trainers at Agile for Humans, coming at you with today's edition of your Daily Scrum.
Here we are, Ryan.
Todd, we have a fun one today. These great questions that students and listeners keep asking. Here's one that comes up quite a bit that we thought we'd address. What happens if we don't get to done by the end of a sprint? Dun, dun, dun. What happens, Todd?
Yeah, this is a good question, one that we get often, and I've been in this circumstance more than one time, right?
Yep.
What happens if we don't get to done by the end of the sprint? And so I think we could look at this two different ways. What happens if we don't get to done on a PBI, product backlog item, or what happens if we don't get anything done? We didn't reach our sprint goal, nothing's done, right?
I think we'll simplify this a little bit, and let's talk about from a product backlog item perspective, right?
Perfect, yeah.
And so if we're looking at the Scrum Guide, the moment a product backlog item meets the definition of done, an increment is born. It kind of takes care of both angles actually here, right? So if we don't get to done on a PBI, we don't have a new increment, right? I think that's the important first step here.
And I think it's also important to point out here that a product backlog item must meet the definition of done. So in the case that we're talking about here, a product backlog item has not met the definition of done, even though we worked on it, right? Even though we worked on it. So what do we do? It's the end of the sprint. We're getting ready for the sprint review, and it's not done.
Well, and this kind of makes sense because that definition of done, it represents completeness.
It does.
Right? It represents all the things that need to be done in order for us to say this is potentially releasable. So if a product backlog item does not meet the definition of done, what happens? Well, the Scrum Guide tells us it cannot be released or even presented at sprint review, right? So this, for all intents and purposes, does not exist. Instead, we return that product backlog item back to the product backlog for future consideration, right? So what's interesting here, Todd, is that carryover work is not guaranteed. The product backlog item is not guaranteed to go into the next sprint. It goes back on the product backlog. It'll be subject to refinement based on the outcome of the sprint review, because guess what? We still have the sprint review.
Have to have a sprint review. And I know this is uncomfortable. I've been in situations where I've been either a Scrum Master or a product owner or a developer, right? And walked into a sprint review not having had a single PBI done, right? And let's say you can't fail a sprint. We have I think a tip coming up on that, but you have to have a sprint review. You still have stuff to inspect here, right? Something went wrong, and that's okay. Your plans are not perfect. As you like to say, Ryan, you cannot plan complexity perfectly, and this may happen, but we have a lot to inspect here still. There's some adaptations we're going to make to the product backlog. We have to have a sprint review and talk about it, right?
Yeah, we still have some learnings to carry forward. We still need to hear about the marketplace. We still need to hear about how our product is doing out in the wild. There's all of these great things we're still going to learn. Is it going to be uncomfortable, as you said? Absolutely. I've been here many times, and as a Scrum Master, I've had to really build up the team and say, look, sometimes we just learn, right? We're not chasing failure. Like, we don't want to fail fast. We don't want to have, these unsuccessful sprints. We don't want this to happen regularly, but every now and then we're going to hit this situation. And it's the thing I really want to pull forward. We didn't fail, right? This whole idea of that, the team failed and they let everybody look. You didn't let everybody down. You didn't. We had a sprint where we thought something was possible. Turned out it wasn't. We need to sit down, rethink this, work together during sprint planning to figure out what makes sense to do next. But keep in mind, there's no such thing as a failed sprint. The sprint did exactly what it's supposed to do. It's either going to show us how to deliver amazing products incrementally and iteratively over a period of time, or it's going to show us every reason why we can't. Congratulations, you just found an impediment. You just found a reason why we couldn't do something. Solve that. That's an opportunity, and the next sprint could be better.
Well, this is also a really good moment to pull out too. We have an event after the sprint review called the sprint retrospective.
Right.
And what's the one thing that we can do to improve next sprint that we make sure that this doesn't happen in our circumstance again, right? What's the one thing that we can bring forward as a continuous improvement item? to improve this. Maybe that's bringing in less work. Maybe that's we have an impediment and we can't do this kind of work right now until this impediment's removed, right? Those kinds of things. So that's the beauty of Scrum, right?
Right. Inspect and adapt. And I think that's the big thing here. And so we don't hide from the event, from the sprint review. We still have to inspect and adapt, but the world does not end. When one sprint ends, the next begins, and we take another crack at it, right? So Scrum Masters, keep your team spirit high. They didn't fail, right? We learned something. There might have been an unacceptable business outcome, but next sprint will be better.
Next sprint will be better.
We love your tough questions. These are some of the good ones, right? And so Ryan at agileforhumans.com, Todd at agileforhumans.com. If it's a super hard one, Todd's going to take it. I'll take the easy ones.
Well, the next time, if that's the case, I'm going to give your cell phone number out on one of the videos.
Oh, please don't do that. All right, everybody. Have a great day, and you'll hear from us tomorrow.
See you next time.